What's up, guys? It's Chris.
And Keith at Purple Tiki Hermits.
And today we want to help you get started. There's a lot of information about hermit crabs that people need to know when they're getting started, how to set up the tank and so forth. And what we're hoping to try to accomplish today is to help you get that tank set up. And if you have a tank set up, to make sure that it's right as you get going into the world of hermit crab keeping. There's a lot of information, isn't there?
Yeah. And in this video, we're not going to describe each topic. What's the word I'm looking for? Like,
in depth?
In depth or descriptively. But we are going to explain the basics of getting started with your hermit crab tank. Yeah.
So why don't you start? Let's talk about substrate.
So we want the substrate to be at least
Wait. What is substrate? Because if the person watching this doesn't know, then
that's
true. What's the substrate?
So substrate is substrate.
Substrate. We're off to a great start.
Yeah. The substrate is a mix of 5 play sand and 1 coconut fiber, I think.
Yep, 5 to 1.
Okay. And we want to be at least 6 inches deep, or three times your largest crab size, whichever one is larger. And we want it to be sandcastle consistency so it doesn't fall on them while we're molting. Would you like to talk to them about molting now?
I can definitely talk about molting. Thank you. So guys, the substrate being that sandcastle consistency is very important for a multitude of reasons. It does help with your humidity in your tank, and we do want that humidity at a certain rate, and we'll talk about that in a moment. He will. But for molting, molting is when the crab digs down into the sand to shed their exoskeleton. And what they do is they shed that exoskeleton. They also eat the old one for a source of calcium while they're down. And they grow their new exoskeleton and let that harden off. What an exoskeleton is essentially the hard shell on the outside of their body.
But shells are different.
Correct. So the reason they wear shells is because their underbelly, that second part of their body that we don't see when they come out of their shell, is not protected by an exoskeleton, and so we call it the soft underbelly, and that's why they need the shell to protect it. Back to the substrate. When they dig down into the sand to go molt, they want that tunnel to stay intact. We don't want that to fall on them as they're digging. And what they will do is they'll find that spot that they want to be in, and they'll build a little cave around themselves, and that sandcastle consistency helps keep that open so that they can move and breathe and do what they need to do in there to molt and shed that old exoskeleton, let the new one harden off, and have a place to start digging back up to the surface. So now I've mentioned the humidity. We want to talk about heat and humidity as well, because the heat and the humidity are very important for the overall health of your crab.
That was a really bad pun.
Would you like to talk about that?
Yes, of course I will. I literally said I would.
Oh, yeah.
So we want the heat and humidity both to be at 75 to 80. 75 degrees Fahrenheit to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know Celsius. I'm really sorry. But yeah, and we also want the humidity to be 75 to 85% so that their gills can be satisfied, because they need a special type of air that is wet so that they soak their gills.
Mm-hmm.
They soak their gills, and so they can actually breathe. And we want our crabs to be able to breathe.
So let me talk about that real quick before you get further into heat and humidity. So the crabs do breathe through a modified gill, and yes, they can breathe underwater, but also when they're on land, as they will be the majority of their time in your enclosure, the humidity helps that gill to get the moisture it needs to stay open and work sufficiently.
Anytime we're recording or on a call, I get itchy on my head everywhere. It's so annoying.
So why don't you talk about a little more about heat and humidity? What do we need to do?
So we want to put an ultrathermic heating pad, I think, 2 inches above the substrate and on the back of the tank. Because if we put it underneath, it'll heat up the sand really much. And when they're molting, we don't necessarily want cooked hermit crab.
Right. So by putting that ultratherm heating pad on the back of the tank, an inch or 2 above the substrate, what we're doing is allowing that heat to emanate through the glass into the enclosure and heat the air in the enclosure.
And we also... Sorry.
with the Ultratherm heating pad, you can insulate that, so it'll send all that heat directly into the tank.
Like this gray, like that. Do you see the gray paper over there?
Nope.
Whatever. We have like this gray paper. It's
It's insulation, and we can talk about that. I use Reflectex tape. It's a heat resistant tape used for plumbing and other types of applications. So what I do is I just tape the whole pad on to the tank, and that works as well. Now you can also use the Reflectex insulation, the rollout stuff. We do have some of that on the sides of our tank to help keep the heat in as well. We keep saying Ultratherm. You can find the Ultratherm heating pads at beanfarm.com, and that way when you look up Ultratherm, you'll come up with all the sizes. And if you need help sizing your Ultratherm pad, please let us know on the Facebook page at Purple Tiki Hermit Crabs, and we'll let you know and help you out with what size you should get for your particular tank. Now, and also
what?
Did you forget already what you were going to say?
Oh, no, I do remember.
Okay.
I thought you were like talking about like me going off of what you said.
No.
We want a solid covered top, like from my old tank that used to be behind us when we went in my room. I still have it. I never put it back with the tank. But we have this plexiglass top that we basically made ourselves on my 37-gallon, and we want it to be solid and not mesh or something, so that the humidity actually stays in and doesn't escape the tank.
The heat and humidity stay in, right?
Yeah.
So the tank behind us has a glass top. The one that he just showed you is a plexiglass top, and either will work to hold that heat and humidity in your tank. So I want to talk a little bit about enrichment items, and enrichment items, guys, are basically what
like the climbs and the hides.
What the crabs can do to have fun, to hide, to make sure that they feel safe. So we're talking about, the coconut hides that you may have seen, the little,
the half coconuts with like that little doorway.
Little huts
with
the door opening in there. Some of them hang and have a little ladder that the crabs will climb up into it with.
Oh, that one doesn't have a ladder.
And there are a multitude of other different builds and things you could do. You could build up wood to create a little cave and so forth and so on. So the hides are very important.
Oh.
As are the plants. So as having a bunch of plantings.
I'll be right back.
Fake plantings in your tank. Essentially what that does is it allows you to provide a temporary hide, something they can dip under quickly to hide if they see you outside the tank. And they need to hide because they think that we're predators. In the wild, the hermit crab is a prey animal, unfortunately, and bigger animals will prey on them to eat them, birds and so forth, as you can imagine, living near a beach. So providing hides is important for them to replicate that natural environment, make sure that they feel safe coming out of the hide to gather food, to forage, just to walk around. Other enrichment items include climbing apparatus like the ropes and the ladders and so forth.
My thumb was bleeding a little bit.
And even like the hamster wheels that we have in our tanks. You may have seen some pictures of them on websites or Facebook pages. And if not, by all means, again, through Purple Tiki Hermit Crabs on Facebook, you can ask to see what those are. I can provide links if needed as well. So basically what that does is it gives them the opportunity to walk in the natural environment. They will walk up to 10 miles a night scavenging for food. So their instinct is to move around, and to provide them with those opportunities to move around and to climb. They love to climb trees and hide in the wild. We're simulating that natural environment again, and you'll hear us refer to that a little bit through this video, because it's extremely important that we simulate those things for the crabs to feel at home, so to speak. Speaking of feeling at home and doing all that walking, they must get thirsty.
Mm-hmm. So we have these two not both freshwater. We have two water pools that are freshwater and saltwater, both for different needs, but also Oh, I have a list, but don't worry. Like we have that they have they have different uses, but also the same uses. Like they're both used for drinking, bathing, but some different uses. The salt water could be used for like putting like salt before a molt. They could put the salt water like in between their new exoskeleton and their old one before a molt, I think.
To help with the ease of molting, yep.
Yeah. And what does the fresh water do that the salt water doesn't?
Well, it gives them the opportunity to
like they could have their own personality and like different things.
They could. They definitely do have their own personality, like different things. They can keep the fresh water as shell water, which is a little bit of water in the shell to provide a humidity for that gill we talked about.
Oh, so that's why the freshwater pool was empty the other day and not the salt water.
But it also evaporates quicker, so within that humid and warm environment, it could do that as well.
Okay.
Now, lastly, guys, what we want to talk about for getting you started is food. Now, this is one of the ones that can become a lengthy topic for people. We'll talk about lighting too, but that's kind of a not needed. So food is definitely a necessity. So food can be confusing because when you go to the pet store, the foods on the shelf next to it all say hermit crab, and the guy that's trying to sell you the foods is telling you how wonderful those pellets are. And unfortunately, the pellets are not good for the crabs. They contain fillers and other things that can become toxic over time. And we want to feed them a more natural diet. There are lists. There are plenty of different lists out there which tell you what's safe food for your hermit crabs and what's not. And again, I don't mean to say that we are experts in any way, but please ask any questions you have, because there are foods that they can have, and there are foods that they shouldn't have. And there are foods that they shouldn't have unless they're prepared a certain way so that they can have them.
Yeah.
So as you can see, foods can become very confusing.
Yeah. But they... Sorry, I keep interrupting you. We like to use single ingredient foods like carrots, apple, like dried apple at least. What else do we use? Bugs, flowers.
Yeah, so let's talk about...
Especially chia seeds for seeds.
Let's talk about some of the providers of food that we use. Now, we always recommend Snout and Shell.
Yep, Snout and Shell is a very good one.
They're very good food. Meg, the owner, and I have spoken. I did an interview with her. I truly appreciate everything she does. She sends them out, all the foods, to be scientifically tested to make sure that they're providing what she says they're providing, and so forth and so on. So Snout and Shell is a very good one. You can find that at snoutandshell.com. You can also find Snout and Shell on Chewy.com, and you can find it on Amazon as well. Now, there are other sellers there. Certainly, as you get started into this, or if you've gotten started into this, you've heard about the Etsy sellers. The Etsy.com is a wonderful place where a whole bunch of people that make some really good foods have their little shops to sell the foods to you. And, you know, of those, we recommend, you know, the Hermit Crab Nerd.
Hermit Crab Nerd, Feed Your Crabs.
Feed Your Crabs, the Garden and Worm Lady for those worm castings. And there are others that we recommend as well. Those are the ones that come to the top of my head right now. And, you know, so you can check those out. And as we're trying to keep this video to the shorter side, I won't give you the whole list. But again, you can find it through our Facebook page by asking questions. But those foods that they're preparing are made with natural ingredients. Guys, your crabs can basically eat almost everything that you eat.
Well,
they can't have
spices, salt, microplastics.
No, but spices and salts, and there are other different foods like onions and some citruses and so forth that we don't want to feed.
Can they have like lettuce and cabbage?
Well, it's really kind of empty calories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but they can have spinach and zucchini and summer squash and carrots and apples and blueberries, and I mean, I could go on and on. The list is very long.
Yeah, we did make this food before we stopped making them, I think, called a Berry Good Breakfast.
Yep.
And it had like blueberries, blackberries, oats, and what else? Chia seeds?
Chia seeds, strawberries, yeah.
Oh yeah, strawberries.
So we've dabbled in making foods as well, and I still make some foods for my guys. Some of those recipes I end up sharing with the Hermit Crab Nerd, and they, she produces them as well.
Such as the Fluffernutter Bugger or Dandelion Fields.
And the Apple Orchard Crisp, which is the new one.
Oh, did we get any of that yet?
No, we're working on making that happen as well. But
okay.
So foods, guys, is a huge, huge thing. And again, as we talk about all these different factors in setting up your tanks and so forth, you can tell that the more you learn, the better you're going to be able to provide for your hermit crabs. It's a lot of information up front. It's a confusing and daunting task to put all that information together, but once you have that information and you're putting it to use and you understand it, then it becomes kind of a maintenance routine instead of a hard task to perform, to care for your hermit crabs. There are a couple other things that we should and or can have with our initial setup on our tanks. Lighting is one of them. Would you like to talk about lighting?
Sure. So we have lights above our tank that we put on 12-hour on, 12-hour off settings, because people may say they're nocturnal, but it's more like they feel safer coming out at night, because in the wild predators don't really come out at night. Well, foxes.
Not as active, or
not as active.
They can hide easier, sure.
Yeah, but they go out more in the night than in the day. But we are starting to see some crabs getting used to the daytime. Like Rocky was out like 2 hours before the light went out yesterday, I think.
Yeah, so some of your crabs will get used to the environment to the point where they realize it's a fairly safe place to be and there aren't any predators coming to get them. So you may see some behavior changes in that respect where they come out a little more during the day. They can and will, in most cases, get used to you. And so, when that happens, you can see them a little more. Now, we're talking...
Mickey got used to me a couple of nights ago.
Right, and we're talking specifically about purple pinchers. Now, Ecuadorians, on the other hand, a different species of crab, they're more active, they're more likely to be okay with you being around and so forth quicker because of their natural abilities and instincts that they work with. So the light we want to use is a full spectrum light.
We don't want heating lamps because that's the wrong type of heat and light, I think.
Correct. So it's the wrong type of heat and light. The heat will actually destroy your humidity levels and dry out your substrate. So we don't want heat lamps at all. And the heat itself will cook your crab. Is the best way to put it, because that's how it will work.
No, I knew it.
We also want a digital thermometer hydrometer to be in the tank. That way, that can help you determine the temperature in the tank and the humidity level.
Oh, we never talked about the thermostat.
We're going to in a minute.
Oh.
All digitally, right there in the tank, so it's giving you real-time, accurate readings of the tank's air quality. Thermostat was something that we should use with our Ultratherm heating pad. Why don't you tell them a little more with that?
Okay, of course I have to do it.
Hey, you brought it up.
Yeah, I know. So the thermostat will help by basically turning your heating pad off when it gets to a specific temperature that you set it to.
So what it does is there's a temperature probe that hangs in your enclosure, and when that thing reads the temperature you've set your thermostat to, it will shut it down. So essentially it's like an on-off switch to control the temperature, similar to the thermostat in your house. So it works pretty much the same way. Within a couple of degrees it'll turn on or off, and it takes care of that part of your necessity for your enclosure. Now let's see, what have we talked about? We've talked about substrate. We've talked about
heat and humidity. We talked about water, lighting.
We talked about food. We talked about enrichment.
I don't think that
Oh,
there's anything.
I think there's one more hugely important thing that we need to talk about.
Yeah, we don't touch our crabs.
That too. Hermit crabs are a hands-off pet, guys.
Unless you're doing your little health checks on them after a molt or something.
And that's only periodically.
Yeah.
The big thing that we forgot to talk about is space.
Oh yeah.
Want to talk about space?
So they like both clutter and open space. They like the clutter, so they're always on something, and it's pretty cool. But we also want that balance with the open space, like the yin and yang, where they get to dig down, or they have a little trail to follow. But like they dig down to molt, and they don't have to like move things around before they can dig.
The other part of space, guys, is there's a very general rule of 10 gallons per crab of tank space. Now, that is to provide the molting space, the floor space required to have a certain amount of crabs safely be able to molt at the same time within your tank. Now,
but like the floor space equation you made.
See now, all right. I wasn't going to bring that up. Now, I made a different theory about floor space and that being the requirement rather than tank space, because tank space includes the height, when in actuality we're only talking about the floor space when we're talking about molting. For more on that, you can hit the Facebook page.
Yep.
That's at Purple Tiki Hermit Crabs on Facebook. I don't want to confuse the process any more than let me stutter a little bit more. Necessary, you know, that we already have, because it's a lot of information, guys. What I will tell you is this. Come to the Facebook page. Ask the questions you have. One of us or one of our advocates will be happy to answer it. Some of the community that we've built,
I'll be really happy to answer
on the Facebook page will also chime in and help answer those questions as well. We've got a really good page going where it's a very judgment-free, drama-free zone, unlike some other pages. And again, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying the reality of the situation is there's a lot of drama out there. We don't allow for it. So for a nice place to be, to get your answers and grow within your newfound hobby, by all means, join us at Purple Tiki Hermit Crabs on Facebook. Anything for last words?
Goodbye.
Guys, we know that was a lot of information. And
just take like an hour or something to take it all in.
right. And you're not going to get it all right at once. We all have made mistakes along our way in our process, in our journey of hermit crab keeping. And we don't forget that here at Purple Tiki. We don't treat people as if they should know because we figured it out or we found out or whatever the case may be. We want to help you. We want to guide you, and we want you to enjoy this as much as we want your crabs to enjoy living with you. So by all means, and again, Purple Tiki Hermit Crabs on Facebook. Join our page, join our community through that page, and experience the wonderful, wonderful hobby of hermit crab keeping. For now, I'm Chris.
And I'm Keith, and we're out. Bye. Goodbye.
See ya.